The 2022 Alpina B8 by BMW. Aloha guys, it's Joe Tunney visiting my very good friends here at BMW of Hawaii in the beautiful city of Kona on the Big Island of Hawaii. Today we're taking a look at what I think is just about the most beautiful car on the road today, the 2022 Alpina B8 Grand Coupe or Grand Coupe. And this is a car that's actually a custom tailored, custom designed vehicle by the company of Alpina. A lot of people don't realize Alpina is a different company altogether from BMW. This engine, and we'll take a look under the hood and start there, the engine is actually hand assembled in the town of Buchloa outside of Dingolfing, where the rest of the BMWs are built. And so the engine is built by hand in-house by Alpina. They ship it to BMW. BMW puts it together with the rest of the car in Dingolfing, ships the whole rolling chassis back to Buchloa, and they turn it into what you see here, one of the extravagant GTs I've ever had an experience with in the entire history of the car business. A particularly amazing car. Let's take a look by starting under the hood. So comparing this to, say, the M8 competition, they're actually two different engines. Both of them have an enormous amount of power, but this is the N63 B44T3 BMW twin turbo as opposed to the S63. And so at first glance you might think, well, that's a little bit of an older design, but remember, this is built by hand by Alpina. This has different performance characteristics that match what Alpina was trying to accomplish with this car. This is not designed to be a hard edge, banging around turns at 300 miles an hour type of car. It's designed to be the most comfortable way that a person can go fast in the world today. And the N63 engine accomplishes that for Alpina. It is a 268 cubic inch all aluminum engine, so kind of throwing back to the old days, like an old Buick aluminum V8. The difference is this one puts out 612 horsepower to go with 590 pound-feet of torque. What does that mean? Well, this car is a lot heavier than the M8 competition. It's 500 pounds heavier, and so as soon as I'm sitting in this car, this weighs 5,000 pounds. So that's a big, heavy vehicle, yet it still gets 24 miles per gallon out on the open road. Also, out on the open road, the top speed of this car is 201 miles an hour. It's absolutely astonishing for an all-wheel drive car that has this much weight to it. Now, not only is the engine completely hand-built and completely unique to Alpina, the ZF 8HP 8-speed automatic transmission, widely considered the single best transmission in the world, certainly considered by me to be the single best transmission in the world, is also completely modified by Alpina for this particular specification. It has two modes, well, it has a lot of modes, but the two that you're probably going to use are Comfort Plus and Sport Plus. In Comfort Plus, it's designed so that you can't even feel the shifts, like at all. And in Sport, then it gives it that extra oomph that you might be looking for. Let's go take a look around. I'm going to close the hood and give you a chance to take a really good long look at this frozen bluestone color. This is about the nicest looking paint job I've ever seen in my life. I was commenting earlier, I wish I could paint my whole body in this car. This is absolutely stunning as far as just a eye-popping, stop you in your tracks type of color. And it looks fantastic with these matching Alpina wheels. The Alpina wheels are 21 inches, and then they come with Alpina branded Brembo 4-piston brakes, 15.6 inch front rotors, 15.7 inch rear rotors, and then custom aerodynamics as well. One thing you'll notice about the Alpina versus a car like an M8 or M8 competition, this actually sits higher than even a standard M8 does. In fact, it's 1 inch higher, and it changes the center of gravity, which is one thing Alpina wanted. Also, it makes it easier to get in and out of the car. Taking a look around, part of the weight difference in this car, and again, it's 500 pounds heavier than an M8 competition, for example, is in the suspension. And so it's designed to be really silky smooth under any sensation, with active roll bars that keep the car flat all of the time. And then the bushings, these are hydro bushings that keep it ultra smooth under any type of road or terrain that you can be going on. And so as an all-wheel drive car with such big wheels and tires, sometimes a car like this can be pretty dramatic out on the windy roads, but this is always going to be smooth all of the time. Taking a look inside. So you've heard me talk a million times about Napa leather, and Napa leather is some of the finest leather that money can buy, but this is merino leather, and merino leather is definitely the next step up from Napa leather. Merino leather is that glove soft leather, almost like lambskin gloves, and so it's a boutique type of leather, and there's no artificial dyes or anything like that in this leather. And so one of the things that you need to know is, yes, it'll absolutely last the life of the car and then some, but it does require special care. And so you don't just wash this with any old thing. Imagine if you bought really expensive furniture at home, what a big deal it would be to take care of it. You want to put that same effort into the merino leather in this car. And then the steering wheel is made of a different kind of leather called Lavalina. We would probably pronounce it Lavalina here in Hawaii. Lavalina leather is exclusive to southern Germany, and so silly as that sounds, it only comes from certain cows in southern Germany, and it has unique characteristics to it that repel water altogether. And so it makes sense to spend, because this is super expensive, I mean this leather costs a ton of money, and it makes sense for them to use it on the steering wheel just because the moisture in your hands. However, it also requires special care. In fact, Lavalina leather can only be washed with boiled water and pH neutral soap. Nothing else works on it. So do a little bit of homework. If this is a car that's on your radar, you're going to want to do a little homework as far as your daily, weekly, monthly upkeep to make sure it looks just like this forever and ever. Let's take a look in back. So Alpina door sills in the front, B8 door sills in the back. Carpet's a little bit thicker as well. In the back seat, one of the things that I see often about these cars is that the rear seat room is a little bit snug. Well, granted, this is a car that'll do 201 miles an hour. I mean, how spacious do you think it's going to be? I think at 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, it's absolutely comfortable even in the back seat. You'll see that the back seats are kind of raked, almost like lounge furniture if I'm out in my yard having a drink looking at the sunset over the ocean. It's very, very comfortable as far as the seating position, and I am taller than the front seat, so I do see comfortably out of the windshield. I think it's great. Alcantara headliner. This one has the additional cost carbon fiber roof feature. It's just a really good looking, comfortable, everything about it is really nice. Taking a look in the trunk, it doesn't matter what kind of car it is to me, there's only one question I need an answer to. Can I take this car to Costco and do what I need to do? And the answer is an emphatic yes. Over 15 cubic feet of cargo space in the back. Plenty of room to do what you need to do. Also, you'll look at the rear fascia, so to speak, of the car. Alpina has a custom designed rear deck lid spoiler, and then their own custom Alpina exhaust as well. These aren't just exhaust outlets, it's a different exhaust setup. And the reason is Alpina doesn't want a particularly loud and raspy exhaust. This car is designed to be chill. They don't want you to wake your neighbors up when you come home at 3 in the morning or when you go off to work at 3 in the morning. Nice underbody diffuser here, looks really aggressive and sporting and cool. But again, things like these touches where the exhaust is more of a muted experience, it's just hard to believe that this car generates the power that it does and the fuel economy that it does. It's a particularly impressive combination. Let's take one more look inside. So it's a pretty impressive customer who is taking this particular Alpina B8 home. Not only did they buy this vehicle, they also bought an Alpina X series vehicle. So that'll be the first one I've ever seen in my life. And the first moment it shows up at the dealership, it's already been accounted for, and they will be taking it home. Taking a look inside, so obviously that beautiful crystal work here in the center shift area. One neat thing about these Alpinas is when you change it from comfort mode into sport mode, it actually changes the display a bit up above, and so that gives it that racier Alpina color scheme when you are in the sport mode as opposed to the comfort mode. And something us old timers would really appreciate is the gauges on the Alpina, which are unique to this car. They're just big individual numbers. It's not a big complicated Swiss watch type of deal. It's very, very easy to read. And then one thing that I hear a lot of people say is that there's, you know, the diameter of the steering wheel is like the old geriatric putters where you have the extra giant grip on there. I think it's great. I don't know why all cars don't come with more robust steering wheels. You know, my favorite car growing up by a mile was the old 7 Series, the 733i in the 70s and 80s. I thought that was like the most beautiful car that had ever been made. It was big, it was sleek. You could get it in a 4-speed manual, which was the cool way to get it. There was just nothing like it. And to me, that was like the holy grail of that luxury GT sedan setup until the all-time god of 4-doors came out, and that was the Bentley Turbo R. When the Bentley Turbo R came out, I mean, it had an engine like a locomotive. It had looks that just were to die for, but it had this tiny little steering wheel. I can never figure out why it had such a tiny little steering wheel, but that's a car that is going to bring a ton of money someday. I know you can buy them for a song these days, but mark my words, anything that is exclusive in today's world is worth a ton of money. Alpina, they've been in the news this week. Alpina on Bring a Trailer, if you ever take a look at bringatrailer.com, one of their Alpina Z8s. So Alpina has been doing business with BMW for 60 years, started by making Weber carburetor, dual Weber carburetor setups for the old 1500 engines 60 years ago. The BMW Z8, 2002 model, automatic transmission, different wheels, not everybody's first choice. MSRP, same as this car, sold 2 days ago for $354,000. It's the second Alpina Z8 to bring over $350,000 this week. Exclusivity is everything. In 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what did everybody want? They wanted nostalgia. Nostalgia was everything. They wanted numbers matching. They wanted the right paint codes. They wanted all of that. In today's world, exclusivity is everything. I mentioned Bring a Trailer just yesterday. Honda Civic CRX SI, 28,000 miles. That's an exclusive low-mile car for a pretty mundane car. Brought $38,500. Porsche 944 Turbo, 3,000 miles. It's exclusive. 944 is a pretty common car. 3,000 miles, not very common miles. Brought $135,000. In the old days, they used to say that quality has its own value. Today, exclusivity has its own value. Nothing is more exclusive on the big GT setup than the B8 by Alpina. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to my friends at BMW of Hawaii.
Rich Gates. Rich Gates. Rims paint. That's something I need to help you with.
We need access to the car.
I just brought Helen's car here.
Okay.
Just, you know, for the battery replacement and whatever else we can get to. But I know they're coming back the 30th. I figured since I'm here, I'd check with you.
I spoke to him, said that I'll coordinate with you. I have a text message out to our P guy.
Okay.
On Thursday.